I am pleased to have Will Smith at this table for the first time. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're just in from South Africa.
Yes. It was in Nelson Mandela hosted the premiere of Ali in South Africa.
Did I read that you might buy a house there? I mean, that you.
Oh yeah, I loved it there. Looking around, we looked Cape Town and Durban and Johannesburg, but definitely want to spend a few months out of the year in South Africa.
The amazing thing about Ali is that he is a true international
Absolutely.
figure. South Africa, Europe, Asia.
The only American that's welcome in almost every country in the world. The most welcomed American for sure. I mean, there's certain Islamic countries that very few Americans are now or will ever be welcome, and that Muhammad Ali can go to.
You had reservations about doing this film.
Oh God, yes. I mean, he's an icon. Everyone knows Muhammad Ali, the most famous man on the planet, and the potential of messing up the Muhammad Ali story.
It's not something you wanted to, you didn't want to visit there.
It kept me up a lot of nights. I called Denzel probably 2 years prior to when I was going to do Ali, and I just wanted to talk about the process. He played Malcolm X and the process and what to expect in dealing with it, and I said, I told him I was considering Ali, and he said, just don't mess it up. I was like, oh man, dude.
Hey pal, don't screw this up.
Don't mess it up.
I mean, we're talking about an icon here. We're talking about somebody. And so, what happened to get you to do it? Was it Michael Mann? Was it Ali? Was it what?
Well, Ali's family was completely involved for 7 years. They working on the script and all of that. And Michael Mann was the first person who illustrated what he called the curriculum for becoming Muhammad Ali. And I always knew that I could work hard enough. There wasn't an issue with discipline, or there wasn't an issue with the ability to sacrifice or the willingness to sacrifice. My issue was intellectual. I didn't see the road from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to Muhammad Ali. I didn't see how that could be done. And Michael Mann was the first person who really illustrated what the road was. And he broke it down into the physical, the mental and emotional, and spiritual. And he said the first step is the physical. And through the comprehension of Muhammad Ali's physical life, he said, we're going to eat what Muhammad Ali ate. We're going to run the distance that Muhammad Ali ran. We're going to train the way Muhammad Ali trained. We're going to spar the way Muhammad Ali sparred. And by we, he meant me.
Yeah.
Me, of course. And he said,
Mike will be in the car.
He'll be in the car eating. But he said through the comprehension of the physical, it will naturally take you into the mental and emotional space that a fighter lives in. And through the comprehension of the mental and emotional, I would understand the next phase, which would be the spiritual necessity for his strength and convictions.
So how did you go about the physical transformation?
The first day we got Angelo Dundee was involved with the training, and we had Angelo just lay out how Muhammad Ali trained.
Yeah, but did you go first? You are not as large as he is, right?
Right.
You're not as big. You are like 100 and.
I started at probably 192
and he's
or something like that. And his later fights, he got up to about 224.
Yeah. But did you have to build up your own body a lot?
Yes, we trained for a year of physical training.
Yeah. Before you started filming
before we started filming, before we ran one camera, we trained for a year.
Now, were you making other movies at this time? Or
no.
You were just focused on the training for a year?
For a year. We had 6 a.m. would be a 3-mile run, and then we'd go in at 11 into the boxing ring. We do technical boxing training, sparring, and then 5 p.m. we would go into the weight room and we do weightlifting.
Somebody told me that when you began this, you were pressing 175 pounds.
Yeah,
when you finished, you were up to like 3 1/4.
Yeah, I got up. I actually hit 355 one day at my max. I had 355-pound bench press. I'm not there right now. Right.
So what happened? That's my point. I'm coming. What happens after you have finished the film? and you're no longer doing that regimen.
Right.
What happens?
Well, surprisingly, your body drops weight.
Oh, it does.
That's the first thing. Your body immediately, whenever you put on weight, I bulked up probably a good solid 29 or 30 pounds. And the first day that we shot in Mozambique in the ring was about 90 degrees, and we started the fight scenes. I lost 11 pounds in one day.
Yeah.
And then after that point, my body just started losing the weight.
Right.
And I got down probably, right now I'm probably here at about 206. Or something like that.
And then you start the regimen of learning how to box.
Oh, yeah. That's, you know, it's much more difficult than it looks on television. it's so much more difficult.
What's challenging about it in terms of getting in the head of a boxer?
Well,
because 30 minutes of this performance is in the ring.
Is in the ring, absolutely. I get the most difficult aspect is trying to fight like someone else, because we all have our natural instincts. You know, if if a left hook is coming, some people want to duck, okay, and you naturally have a reaction.
Ali does something like this.
Ali leans back. Some people naturally want to put their glove up. That's my natural reaction is this, you know, going there. But you have to train yourself to react the way that Ali reacted.
And how did you do that?
So the first step was to just get in the ring. It's, you know, it's the throw the baby in the pool, let him learn how to swim. My instructor's name is Darryl Foster. He trained with Sugar Ray Leonard. And the first day we came in, he said, this is a fight camp. He said, nothing but fighters in this camp. All the actors can go home right now.
Well, wait a minute.
Okay, well, I guess I'll see y'all later then.
I'm out of here.
Okay, the actors is leaving. Okay, I'm going to go head home. But, you know, because we trained with all professional fighters. So there were no other actors in the ring but me. So when you train with professional fighters, the process is much faster than trying to do it in a vacuum. I was in the ring every day with former world title holders. So you learn something much more rapidly dealing with people that fight on that level. And it was just every single day, 6 hours a day.
At the same time, looking at hours and
hours
of
footage.
Ali,
Absolutely.
and even the recycling it. So looking at it in a cycle.
Leon Gast, who
I read about this guy.
directed When We Were Kings.
Yeah.
He gave us 17 hours of footage that wasn't in When We Were Kings. And we saw Ali sparring, we saw Ali running, we were able to create the interpretation of Ali that we created almost exclusively from that 17 hours of footage.
Was Ali involved in this at all? Because I know he very much wanted you signed off. He said you were the only guy, among other things, pretty enough to do this.
He said I was almost pretty enough.
Almost pretty enough. But was he involved at all?
He was completely involved. Every 2 weeks or so, he would come to the set. His family, his wife, and his children were completely involved in the process.
And they signed off on the script.
Signed off on the script and signed off on me very early. But it was, you know, people have asked me, did I find it difficult playing Ali with Ali being there? You know, and you know, I've never done it the other way, when the person isn't around, so I'm not sure, but it seemed very helpful to be in a scene and something feels uncomfortable.
Go over and say,
hey champ, you know, how was this? Does this seem realistic? Is you know, this is what the line is. Do you comfortable with that, or was it more like this? And because so many people that were involved with Ali were involved with the project, there was such a concentration on accuracy and truth, you know, so it actually made it easier that everyone was so focused on it being correct.
What's interesting about this too is what drove and shaped Ali was not part of your consciousness.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, you were born after the Liston fight.
I wasn't born until 1968, you know, so by the time I started watching fights, Ali was finished fighting. So it was really difficult, and for me, the comprehension of the 60s was probably the most difficult aspect of the entire
Civil rights
process.
in Vietnam.
Absolutely. Just a comprehension of black people having to ride on the back of the bus. You know, I mean, I'm a child of rap music.
Yeah.
You know, Puffy has his own bus. You know what I mean? So it's like I couldn't even relate to the concept.
Yeah. So how do you do it? How do you get inside the head of the time?
As a testament to Michael Mann's brilliance, what he did is he brought in Geronimo Jijiga, who was formerly Geronimo Pratt of the Black Panthers.
Right.
And I sat for 3 or 4 hours with Geronimo, and he gave me the gem of brilliance that really put me in the place. He said that the state of mind was that war had been declared on Black America in the 60s.
Right.
He said war had been declared. Fire hoses, dogs, domestic terrorism, the bombing of the church in Birmingham, Alabama. He said that was full-scale war. And he said that was our mindset. And that was a real epiphany for me. It exploded in my mind. I said, that's why Ali is not going to Vietnam. If my wife and children aren't safe here, why would I go somewhere else to fight another war with some Viet Cong that I ain't got no quarrel with?
Right. He also said this amazing thing too, as you know. They said, do you know where Vietnam is? And he said it's in the
it's on
television.
TV.
It's in the television. Yeah. Which is almost a kind of surrealistic sense of,
Absolutely.
of what the impact of television in that war had at the
Absolutely.
time. There was also finally the transformation into Ali, the transformation of understanding Islam.
Absolutely.
And Ali. You studied Islam, or what did you
Absolutely. What we did, essentially, we reverse engineered Ali's transformation into Orthodox Islam, Sunni Islam, that he's currently a member. We started with his current Islamic beliefs, and then we reverse engineered into the Nation of Islam, and then back to his Southern Baptist upbringing. And there were lots of discoveries in that. The fact that he made a transformation from believing in God through a person to believing in God directly with a one-on-one relationship. As you grow up as a child, you believe in God through your mother or your grandmother or your father, and then eventually you grow into your own understanding. Well, he started not unlike me as a mama's boy, you know, and the belief was through his mother, and the difficulties in the relationship that he had with his father created the necessity for his relationship with Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah.
And believing in God through Elijah Muhammad to being disappointed and then to having to create his own individual relationship.
Someone even speculated, a psychiatrist, I guess it was perhaps, that understanding Ali, and the name, was understanding his relationship with his father, which made him vulnerable, or at least open, or at least seeking relationships with Elijah Muhammad, with Malcolm X, and with other people, sort of father figures.
Absolutely. The necessity to please.
Yeah. You've now, in this process, if you didn't already, you've known Malcolm. No, you haven't known Malcolm. You've known Ali, and then you went and met Nelson Mandela. You know. Do they share anything?
Absolutely. The one thing that I truly tried to communicate in the interpretation of Ali is the complex simplicity of greatness. And how greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. You know, it's something that truly exists in all of us. Sitting with Ali, sitting with Nelson Mandela, it's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Period. It's that simple.
I know who I am, and I know what I believe.
I know who I am, I know what I believe.
That's all I need to know.
And that's all I need to know. So from there, you do what you need to do. You know, and I think what happens is we make this situation more complex. You know, the normal among us make it more complex than it has to be.
Because we're looking for complexity. There's got to be something complex to understand.
It can't be that easy.
No,
it can't be that easy.
Fundamental and that basic.
God said, "Thou shalt not lie." Okay. God didn't say, thou shalt not lie.
Except under these circumstances.
Right. Absolutely. Unless your wife comes in and asks you what she think, what you think of this dress, and you already said something wrong earlier. No, it's very simple. And if you believe, thou shalt not lie, you either believe it or you don't.
There is this about Ali, too, is this extraordinary self-confidence. How much of that was a fundamental belief that he had about himself, and how much of it was somehow a sense that I have to believe this or I will not prevail?
I think that there's absolutely an element of, if I don't convince myself that, if I don't convince myself that I can beat Sonny Liston, I'm not going to be able to beat Sonny Liston. Yeah. You know, so there's absolutely, I think, innately, and he intuitively knew that it starts right here.
If I don't believe nothing,
if I don't believe it, then
nobody will.
Nobody will believe it. And I think intuitively he knew that Sonny Liston had to believe it also. So there's absolutely an element of convincing the press, absolutely an element of convincing Sonny Liston, and certainly an element of trying to convince himself in the process.
Is there any similarity between that idea and what you have become in terms of a phenomenal movie star? Some sense of confidence in self that began whenever?
I think that you know, I said a few months ago, I said that I believe that if I chose to, I could be the president of the United States. And I think as I've had a chance to intellectualize why I said that. And I think that there's a certain delusional quality that all successful people have to have. You have to believe that something different than what has happened for the last 50 million years of history. You have to believe that something different can happen.
It's almost a kind of innocence.
Absolutely.
In other words, if you knew how difficult it was, you would have never gone down that path.
Absolutely.
You know, if somebody had said to Ali, no one can beat this guy. He's this much stronger, he's this much bigger, he's got that much bigger punch than you do, and he believed that, he would have said, you got to have an innocence that somehow.
Absolutely.
You know,
I think that's a huge part of me, because, and I say to my friends all the time, and we laugh about it, I truly, honestly, as I sit here before you right now, as honestly as I can say it to you, I truly believe that I could be the president if I wanted to. And as bizarre as that may sound to people that have traveled the path before me, and to people who actually know how difficult it is, foolish Will Smith honestly believes it's sitting here.
Well, what there is about that is a sense of the innocence about it, as well as a disarming honesty about it, if you say it that way. Now, here's what's interesting about you, is that there are people who have said that about you, too, who've been around you as a creative performer.
Absolutely.
Barry Sonnenfeld, I think it was, you know, did you work with him, or he was involved in this somehow? Said something like that if Will Smith decided he wanted to go into politics, I'd be there to help him by making commercials, whatever I could do within my own talent. Which raises the interesting question, is that something that at some point in your life you might think about, politics?
Well, you know, I absolutely feel that there are certain gifts and certain talents that God has blessed me with, that it would be spiritually criminal to only use to make money. My travels in Africa, and spending time with Muhammad Ali, and spending time with Nelson Mandela, there are certainly issues that are important to me, and things that I've been blessed with the vehicle to be able to change, to be able to, as sappy as it may sound, make the world a better place, however minute the change. And that's something that is important to me, but I don't believe that politics is the best use
of your energy and time right
absolutely.
now. But the interesting thing, too, is that there is this concept, and you see it with lots of different people, you know, even with people who are evil. Some will say, he had so much talent. If that talent could have been redirected to something good. It is the idea, if you are given and you work hard, because there's nothing more apparent about Will Smith than how diligent and hard he works at being who you are. I mean, you appreciate the notion, it looks like to me from what I know about you, of understanding that you have to be prepared in order to maximize the possibilities of gifts, right?
Absolutely. And I believe, and I learned very young.
From parents?
From my parents, absolutely. That you don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. There will not be one brick on the face of the earth that's going to be laid better than this brick that I'm going to lay in this next 10 minutes. And you do that every single day.
And soon you have a wall.
And soon you have a wall. And I think psychologically, the advantage that gives me over a lot of people that I have been in competition with in different situations is it's difficult to take the first step when you look how big the task is. The task is never huge to me. It's always one brick.
Me too. I mean, it is amazing how people are paralyzed from doing anything.
Absolutely.
Because they can't take the first step. Whereas you just say, look, all I'm doing is laying this one brick. I am not building the Great Wall of China here.
Absolutely.
I'm putting a brick here, and I'm going to have the best brick I can. Your father, I think I read,
absolutely,
had you and your brother work on a wall of some
kind? Yeah. We're talking about our figurative wall. That comes from work on a literal wall.
Yeah, right.
My father owned. It actually was an old bakery when I was growing up. My father was an electrician and a refrigeration man. We would install supermarkets. You see the long freezer cases in supermarkets. We would install those long freezer cases and all the lights. That's what we would do every summer.
Yeah.
So this one year, my father had his shop, and he decided for whatever reason that he wanted a new wall on the front of his shop. So he tore down probably about 16 feet high and probably about 30 feet long. He just completely tore the wall down, and my brother and I had to dig a 6-foot hole.
For the foundation.
For the foundation. And we would mix in the concrete by hand.
Yeah.
A year and a half. We were building this wall for a year and a half. Every day after school, we would come in, mixing concrete, putting it in the hole, doing it. And it was just myself and my little brother. And I remember standing back, looking at that wall, saying, there's going to be a hole here forever. There will never be anything but a hole here.
That's right.
And a year and a half
I don't
later,
have that many days.
I know. A year and a half later, we laid the final brick. Yeah. And my father stood back with my brother and I know he planned this. He says he didn't, but I know he had been planning this and writing this for his for the past 2 years. But we stood back, we looked at the wall, and he looked at me and my brother and said, "Don't y'all never tell me that you can't do something." And walked into the shop.
That's great.
I was like,
now here's what's interesting. You said what? You said
I said, that man's crazy. Something wrong with him, man. We need to get out of here.
What is he doing to my head?
Did he start drinking? Is he drinking?
Well, what's great about that story and what's great about your dad is that you seem to have come from a happy family.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, fairly.
Reasonably.
Reasonably. Yeah.
He's a little crazy. This thing about walls.
He's a little.
Yeah.
No, it was,
but generally, there was no great. You didn't have the kind of conflict that Ali had.
Oh, definitely not like Ali.
That kind of. And yet you have the amazing amount of drive. I mean, there's a sense of mission with you, sense of commitment, sense of prepared to do what it requires. Right?
Absolutely. I mean,
so you didn't come from a struggling artist background to become.
Well, you know what?
An accomplished professional.
I think both of my parents and my grandparents were achievers. You know, my mother worked for the school board of Philadelphia, so growing up, we couldn't say y'all. You know, it's like we run out.
My kids do not say y'all.
Yeah, right. You know, we would run out of the house and scream to our friends, "Yo, what y'all about to do?" My mother's up. That's it. Back in this house. Back in this house. And we'd be sitting upstairs crying, and my grandmother would come in and say, baby, you know a yawl is a boat.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but
there's a difference.
There's absolutely.
Yeah.
So, there were very specific rules, and there was a constant desire to be better.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up with the sense that where we were was where we were going to be. We grew up with the sense that where we were almost didn't matter, because
we were becoming
right. Something greater.
Yeah.
And I always remember that my mother or father or grandmother would say, that's great, baby. You did a really good job with that. That's incredible. Congratulations. Try this next time.
Yeah.
It was always there was always a little bit
stretching.
More. Absolutely.
When you started out as a rapper, were you already thinking, if I get to do this really well, I'll have a television show. And if I have a television show, I can be in feature films. And if I'm in feature films, I can be.
For me, it was always, my biggest dream coming up was I wanted to hear one of my records on the radio.
That was it?
That was it. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to hear one of my records on the radio. And I wanted to see someone hear my record on the radio. And in June 1986, I saw a guy ride past my father's shop, dropping his head, So from that point, I've really been beyond my dreams. And even with the first Grammy nomination, we were beyond anything. When we recorded, we didn't say, "Wow, it would be cool to be."
We just want to hear it on the radio.
We just want to hear it on the radio,
Yeah.
And from that point, I've been trying to catch up with my dreams.
Your dreams. In other words, the reality has been ahead of whatever you imagined.
But the reality has been so far ahead of what I would lay in the bed at night and say, wow, it would be wonderful if.
You couldn't imagine. Your movies have grossed, I think, more than $2 billion.
They had 2.2, but
why would you know?
Over 2.2, but I don't pay attention to that stuff.
How does the ambition play for you? In other words, are you saying it comes to you, or it was somebody else's idea that if you can do rap and if you can win Grammys, then you can do Fresh Prince. If you can do Fresh Prince, then you can do whatever the first role was. And if you can do that, then you and Tommy Lee Jones can make Men in Black.
I think with me, I'm motivated by fear.
Fear.
Fear
of what?
Fear of fear. I hate being scared to do something. I hate that feeling of the feeling that I had before I had a meeting with Quincy Jones, because it was really Quincy Jones and a guy named Benny Medina and Jeff Pollack came with the idea for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I hated being scared, that I didn't want to even take the meeting. There were opportunities during when my first year as a rapper. Bill Cosby and the people on the Cosby Show had seen my music video and called me to
be a character
to come and try out for the Cosby Show. And just every time it was set up, for some reason I couldn't make it.
The fear of fear.
The fear. I just hated that, being scared to do something. And I think what developed in my early days was the attitude that I started attacking things that I was scared of. If I was at the Arsenio Hall show, and I remember the first time being at the Arsenio Hall show, and I really felt emotionally, I felt dwarfed at the Arsenio Hall show. Hollywood was so much bigger than the music that I was making. I felt scared. And so I walked right up to Arsenio. Well, what's up, man? What's going on, man? My name is Will Smith. I'm gonna be a big dog out here in a minute. You don't know me yet, but I'm gonna be big.
Yeah.
And I started developing the habit of attacking things that I was scared of.
That's almost Ali-like. In terms of the bravado,
Right.
You know, of that. It was Franklin Roosevelt said the only fear you have to fear is fear itself.
Absolutely.
Remember that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The big break was what?
The big break.
Was it Fresh Prince? After Fresh Prince,
yeah, I think
that did it for you.
Yeah, Fresh Prince really put me on the map internationally. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is. We were just in South Africa and Mozambique.
It's still
and
playing
Australia.
over there?
It plays insanely everywhere in the world. We're in
the power of television.
The power of television.
Yeah.
We're in a village in Mozambique called Mavalani.
Yeah.
And there were children that didn't even speak English that was saying "Príncipe, Príncipe," you know, because they were colonized by the Portuguese, so it's close to Spanish, and they're saying "Príncipe, Príncipe." And I'm like, that is amazing how far television goes. But I would have to say that Fresh Prince was definitely the.
You make an interesting observation that the interesting thing about if you're on television, and especially if you're a stand-up comic, or if you're doing fast-paced comedy on television, it's terrific in terms of becoming an actor.
Absolutely.
You know, you see it with a Robin Williams.
Absolutely.
You probably Seinfeld could do it if he made movies.
Absolutely.
You know, it is that notion of you've got to make every second.
Every second has to be perfect, has to be funny.
Has to have a payoff.
And you have about 4 seconds to figure out what it's going to be. I refer to television as the gym.
Yeah.
Television is really the workout for the film world.
It's where you develop the muscle.
It's where you develop the muscle.
Right.
And Martin and I, the fact that we had television experience was the only reason that Bad Boys was able to be successful, because we were writing it every single day on the set, but we were trained.
Yeah.
We were trained to create quickly, to move, and to shoot. And when you get into the film world, all of a sudden you have time. You know, they say, well, no, slow down. Let's do another take.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's try. Oh, that was good. Let's try it another way. We were like, wait a minute.
This is a luxury.
Well, no, wait a minute. We get to do it twice?
Yeah,
you know,
and that's the only scene we're going to do today.
And that's the only scene we're going to do. So wait a minute. We can do it all day long.
Yeah, we'll get it right.
Out of here. And it's such a different world. And the pace of the film world is so much different than the pace of the television world. And what I also noticed in studying the transition, I looked at Robin Williams, Tom Hanks, Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey. I studied a lot of the people that actually made the transition. And the difference with television is when people are watching a small screen, everything has to be big, you know, in order to sell it. You know, when you sell,
you got to come out of the screen.
You got to come out of the screen because the screen is so small, and people watching such a small screen, you have to be sad like this. You know what I mean? Because you got to sell that you're sad. Whereas,
sell sad.
You know, whereas in the film world, the screen is so huge and the camera gets so much into your face that everything can be much more subtle. People will see every little twinge of your eye or every little purse of your lip, and everything is so, the camera is so much closer and the screen is so much bigger. Smaller moves translate funnier or more emotional. And that was the big thing that I concentrated on in making the initial move into the film world, just taking everything down, you know, 100 degrees.
Have you learned mainly from the directors you've worked with, or have you taken thousands of hours of lessons?
Well, I don't have any really formal theatrical training. Yeah. I think I have a natural desire to study people. Yeah. You know, when someone says something, I like to do what's called the comedy math. What made that funny? Why was that funny? Okay, well, what's funny is that they were being sardonic, and you know, to break it down.
See, this is interesting about you. There is this notion too that you once looked at the top 10 grossing pictures, and they all had 7 of the 10 had creature. 7
of the 10 had
creatures. The creature, and you said, I want to make a movie
with a creature. Absolutely. I mean,
if a creature will help you do it.
Absolutely. There's. I mean, to me, I knew that once I made it into the film world, there was no reason to be in the film world if I wasn't going to have films in the top 10 of all times. So, studying the top 10, there were creatures. I want creatures.
Yeah.
You know,
if a creature will help you do it, let's get a creature in
here.
here.
Damn it, give me my Creatures. Where's my Creatures? Actually, I told him I wanted Creatures on Charlie Rose.
Where is it?
Where's my Creatures?
Well, it's under here somewhere. Now, have you failed in the last 5 years, 10 years? Do you consider anything you've done a failure?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Like
there's
what?
Certain things.
Because a movie didn't gross as much. Is that failure?
No,
or is that
actually,
just...
the converse with Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
It felt like a failure because the film wasn't great.
Right.
You know, but it did 225 million.
And you know what people said about that? They said that's because of Will Smith. It's not because.
But I was like, oh, it hurts so bad. You know, it felt like I got what I wanted out of the deal, but my fans didn't get their half of the deal. You know,
you got your money. You gave your performance.
I got absolutely, but it wasn't. The relationship that I have with my audience is you come to the movie to see me. You don't ask any questions. You just go to the movie theater, and I guarantee you I'm going to give you something that you're going to enjoy.
And you don't think you gave them that, even though they paid their money to come see it?
Absolutely. And that hurts more than anything. I'd much rather a film flop at the box office if it's not good than.
So you don't want to be making any bad movies?
Oh yeah, I don't want to have no bad movies.
Even though they're going to pay me my money.
Absolutely. You know, I don't like that just emotionally that doesn't feel.
Now, has any part not felt good for you?
I mean, no, every part I've taken felt. I mean, I've never been on the set and
said, "Why did I do this? This is not me. I don't like this guy. I don't like this character. I don't like this."
Not at all. I've as another part of the unspoken deal that I have with my fans is I'm going to love it. You know, I'm going whatever I choose. I'm not choosing it because they offer me more money than the other person offered me. I'm not choosing it because it's convenient for my life at this time. I'm choosing it because I think it's great and I think it'll be enjoyable for people to watch.
Yeah. There is a thing I think about performing, and I don't know whether it's on a classical stage or whether it's on a film or whether it's on something as basic as this. It is that people watching it somehow are positively influenced by the fact that you're having fun.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, they can sense the enthusiasm. And I think on television, some even will say, if they're not enjoying it, why am I watching?
Why am I right?
You know?
Yeah, you really need to enjoy it on television. Television is one of those mediums where if you're not having fun, people are going to change the channel.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little more leeway in the film world, and there's a little more leeway in the world of music for alternate emotions. But in the world of television, people tune into television for an enjoyable experience, and they are most moved by the person or the performer or the performers having a good time. That's why Friends is so successful. You can tell that they're having
a good time. Yeah, exactly.
On the set.
Right. And it is successful.
Absolutely.
You look at that new contract those boys and girls just signed.
Yeah.
You and Denzel, both nominated this year. Some people, I was watching the BBC the other day, and they were talking about the fact, making a lot of the fact that two African-American actors nominated in the same year. Is race, where is it in your own consciousness?
Where is it in my consciousness? I mean, I think it's a reality of American life.
Right.
I think that Hollywood is no different than anywhere else in the country. There's certain aspects that are noticeable.
Right.
You know?
But when they see Will Smith, did they see Will Smith African American, black man, or did they see Will Smith green man?
The one of the great aspects of Hollywood is that you can go from being black or Asian or Latin
to green.
You know, it's one of the few places that you can turn.
Exactly.
You can go ahead and turn green.
Yeah, right. And if they think because of skin color you won't be green, then that's where the discrimination kicks in.
Absolutely. Before Independence Day, there were issues spoken that blacks don't translate internationally, and that was part of the issue of me maybe not being cast in Independence Day.
Now, did you do anything to be cast in that role? I mean, was you aware of that, obviously? That somebody's saying maybe Smith might be perfect in terms of his talent, in terms of his persona, temperament, all of that, but
But blacks
he may
don't
not
translate.
play internationally, and therefore not as much green as we'd like.
Absolutely.
And who overcame that idea?
I knew for a fact that I wasn't going to sit back. And
You're not going to let them define you
Right,
and
absolutely.
your potential internationally.
I personally believe that success is based upon intellect. The smartest guy, 9 times out of 10, is going to win.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, the strongest guy will win, but more times than not, the smartest guy is going to win. As soon as I heard that it was put all of the best minds that I knew together to figure out how to overcome that.
Rock and roll.
Oops.
Oops. What does that mean? What do you mean?
No, I got it. Some jerk didn't put.
I know what I
got it, though.
mean when I say oops. What do you mean saying oops there?
Well, you say we try that one again, huh?
You went out and hired or got together a group of people smart about marketing, people smart about understanding.
A few marketing people together. I got international box office grosses of films starring black actors. And at this point in my career, that's another reason why I travel so much with my films.
Yeah.
Because I feel that if Will Smith can be successful in Thailand with a film, then, well, maybe someone else of African descent can be successful in Thailand or France or any other place.
You know what's
around the world.
amazing, too? I mean, you know this much better than I do, but it is the phenomenon of the worldwide market. I mean, when you look at what some of those Asian actors do before they get cast in the American audience, they're reaching billions of people.
Absolutely.
It's stunning what the market possibilities are once you get heavy. Now, did you lead that effort yourself, or did you say to your agent or whoever is sort of in charge of Will Smith Inc., or is Will Smith the guy who's in charge of Will Smith Inc.?
I have my
I don't
partner,
mean in corporate structure.
Right,
I mean,
right, no.
who's running this? Who's the guiding?
Creatively, I'm pretty much totally in control of at least the last decision of what we do or don't do. But my partner is James Lassiter. We went to high school together, and he started out carrying records for Jazzy Jeff and myself back.
So he's
back
been
in
with you a
Philly.
while. So
been
there's
with me from
loyalty,
day one.
trust,
Absolutely.
confidence.
And he's a genius, so that doesn't hurt.
So he's a smart guy.
That doesn't hurt nothing.
Does he remind you of that?
Oh no, he makes it clear. he makes it clear.
Well, you may be pretty, and you may be on that screen.
He said, but I picked Independence Day and Men in Black.
I got one huge brain working for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you look at where you might be going, there's this frequently said: everybody has wanted to be, for one reason or the other, Cary Grant, whatever that means.
Absolutely.
And they say, perhaps as close as anybody, Will Smith could be Cary Grant, whatever that is, the idea of Cary Grant.
Well, it's really eclectic choice of work. It's the ability to make you laugh and to make you cry.
Right. Comedy and drama.
Comedy and drama, and startle you with some action.
Yeah. At the same time, being elegant and all those
absolutely.
things. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've done a little Cary Grant study also.
Have you?
Oh yeah.
Now, what have you studied?
Just the ability to create a relationship with the audience that transcends the role.
Yeah.
Okay? The ability there to have a connection with the audience that is almost a friendship. So the people will be more willing to move with you. With Cary Grant, there was just a sense that whatever he chose, you wanted to know why. Okay, well, why did okay, I can see that. Oh, she's beautiful. Okay, of course he would want to be with her. You never released Cary Grant unless he wanted you to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like with Independence Day, I didn't want you to release Will Smith. With Men in Black, I didn't want you to release Will Smith. But with Ali, you had to.
This, I think, is the Liston-Ali fight. Take a look at this. Does Denzel's career teach you something?
Yeah, just that I got a long way to go.
Yeah, but yeah, you've got to admire what he's done in terms of. Well, he must have talked to you about Malcolm.
Yeah,
what he said, what he told you. He
yeah,
said, you better get it right, brother.
Absolutely. But Denzel is just.
Other than awesome.
Just, you know what Denzel, when I watch Denzel, I said this to someone a couple of weeks ago, is I'm not the best at anything. You know what I mean? Eddie Murphy is funnier than I'll ever be. Denzel is more powerful than I'll ever be. I think that my strength is I can do everything well. You know, I can do a little bit of everything, and that's what I concentrate on to be my strength. I'll never be able to compete with Denzel on that
pure
level.
Actor
as a pure, you know, it's like
power.
It's just, you know, I feel that I'd have to completely dedicate my life to that to even come near being able to compete on that level. There's moments that I watch with Denzel and I look at it and it almost makes me mad. You know? I'm like, how does he know that? Like the choice in Hurricane with the phone. You know, when he put the phone on the glass in Hurricane, but he chose not to audibilize. Yeah. You know, I was like,
so you're watching it.
You know, it's just
where did
that come from?
Yeah.
You know, and
it came from him, not from someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just, he was just
his
there.
own genius that made him understand
absolutely.
That. Yeah. You once said also that Robin Williams is a career.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's worth paying attention to.
Just the eclectic nature of
from comedy to drama to
of his choices. Mork from Ork, you know, to Awakenings. Yeah. And that's range. And that's where I want to be in that type of career. Same, you know, with Tom Hanks, Joe and the Volcano, you know, to Philadelphia. And that's just pure range.
Having finished this film, tell me how it changed you. What did you come out with? The experience beyond giving a performance of your life and the experience of diving into the life of a living human being,
right.
But coming away with some sense of this was a very special man, and
Absolutely.
I have to rise to the occasion and not disappoint
right.
not only him and his family, but billions of people who care about him because of what he was.
Absolutely. I think having the opportunity to study greatness.
Yeah.
You know, an exhaustive study.
Yeah, you were doing that.
Oh yeah,
you were taking those punches.
Oh yeah, no, there's a. Yeah. Anytime you have that opportunity, there are certain intricacies that will make clear who you are. It becomes that much more clear who you are in comparison to the individual that you're playing. For me, it made it very clear who I am. I've been to my physical and emotional and spiritual and financial ends with this film. The definition of who I am is very clear to me, and it also redefines who I want to be, in that I know for a fact that I'm stronger than I thought I was. You know, you can't help but ask yourself the question, what would I do if I was in Muhammad Ali's shoes? Would I have been strong enough
to stand up to the United States?
To stand up to the United States, you know? And for me, the answer is at 25, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Just
That's
when
not
I was
a
25,
courage that I had at 25.
Didn't have it. And I'm a little closer to saying maybe yes right now. You know, specifically
because you've learned something about yourself, and you've gained some strength
that you can't be scared to die for the truth. The truth is the only thing that's ever going to be constant. And you can't fear what might happen to you if you were to tell the truth. Because what happens to you if you don't tell the truth is worse than telling the truth will ever be. And that's what became clear to me in making this film, and that redefinition of who I am and who I want to be.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.